There is a new star witness that will be in an important role, probably, in the James Comey case. And it's not who you think it might be. It's not some FBI informant or someone close to him, like a buddy of his who's going to tell all about what he really did about these alleged leaks to the media. No, it's someone we all thought had gone quietly into the night. But this is someone who is uniquely situated to give critical evidence in the James Comey case, and that person is a veteran of years of DOJ service. Let's analyze it. But before we do that, let's remind you to hit that subscribe button and make us the biggest as well as the best legal analysis, political analysis channel that there is. So we'll put up this little image. And do you remember this man? That's John Durham, former special counsel. And after an esteemed career, just in case you forgot who he was, after an esteemed career as a prosecutor, he ended his career by flying around the world, eating, drinking expensive scotch or bourbon or whiskey, I can't remember what it was, with the former Attorney General William Barr, and spending almost 4 years investigating the investigators, meaning he was probing the Russian probe, looking for problems with it. And after 4 years, he produced nothing but a couple of acquittals, a lot of embarrassment for himself, and a 300-page report that I described as a bad plagiarism job back when it came out. Specifically, I said that his 300 pages took 4 years and millions of taxpayer dollars. It reads like a bad plagiarism of the 2019 DOJ OIG report on the same thing, the Russian probe, which Durham added phrases to, like, quote, confirmation bias, to make it seem like his work was actually original rather than just sort of regurgitating the OIG report. It was a big nothing burger and a tremendous waste of taxpayer dollars, but it pleased his bosses, it pleased Trump that that was happening at that time. Now, that same John Durham is now being reported as being a really critical witness in the Comey case, but not for the prosecution. He'll be a great witness for Comey because, as the reporting indicates, Durham, who spent all these years examining the origins of the FBI investigation into the Russian interference with the 2016 campaign, told federal prosecutors who were investigating Comey, because they interviewed Durham, Durham said he was unable, he could not uncover evidence that would support false statements or obstruction charges against Comey. That's what the reporting is. The federal prosecutors in Virginia, in the Eastern District of Virginia, that have been working on the Comey investigation, met with Durham remotely in August to understand the findings of his investigation. And according to the reporting, sources indicated that Durham was simply not able to give anything helpful, and in fact was giving what they call exculpatory information. So Durham's going to end up being a key figure aiding in Comey's defense. Now, those same prosecutors, just to make it even clearer now, had also met with a team of lawyers at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., who had also investigated Comey, had called him to testify before a grand jury. They also had been unable to identify any chargeable offenses committed by Comey. We all remember that in the Eastern District of Virginia, that the original U.S. attorney there resigned, evidently after refusing to indict Comey on non-evidence. There was also a prosecution memo done there where the career prosecutor has written up the memo saying we don't have enough information here to charge anybody. And that's what the prosecutors in Virginia had decided. They couldn't prove any false statements, and they wrote a memo to that effect. Quickly, that was completely ignored because the replacement for the U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan, the former insurance personal attorney to Trump, promptly rejected that, right? Returned the 3-count indictment against Comey. Now, prior to appointing Halligan, Trump was bragging that she was going to get things done. She would get things moving. But Halligan's still having some problems. She can't even find prosecutors in her own office to try the case. Remember, she went to the grand jury on her own. And she showed up in court to present that indictment on her own. Reporting now indicates that ahead of the arraignment time, she's added some prosecutors. She finally found some federal prosecutors to do the case with her, but they're not from her own office. She had to bring them in from another district from North Carolina. She added them. And that would indicate that she literally cannot find anybody in the Eastern District of Virginia to help her with this. Now, Durham is going to be a great defense witness to help Comey, but there will be lots of obstacles to trying to get him to testify, right? DOJ is going to say, oh no, these are privileged issues. You can't get him to talk about his investigation at that time. So there's going to be a huge amount of litigation over that. You know who else will be a great witness potentially with even more obstacles? Attorney General Pam Bondi. In a hearing before Congress, she was questioned specifically about many things, but specifically about what caused her to indict Comey. Did Trump direct her to do so, etc.? Remember, Trump had done a social media post saying she needed to get going. They are guilty as hell, said Trump, meaning Comey, Letitia James, I think Schiff as well, saying no more delay, do it now, Pam Bondi. And let's take a look at Senator Blumenthal attempting to ask her about just what was going on there, what effect Trump's instructions via social media had on her. Take a quick listen.
I'd like to know from you what conversations you've had with President Trump about the indictment of James Comey.
Senator, I am not going to discuss any conversations I have or have not had with the President of the United
States.
See that you're an attorney, you have a law degree, and you know that I'm not going to do that. I also find it fascinating, because I'll keep fighting to ensure that law enforcement and the judicial process move forward without political interference.
So I like how she has to read her talking points because she wants to quote Blumenthal quoting Trump, how he should have been brought to justice a while back. Query if that's the best quote to use, but what I like about the fact is that she's clearly having to remind herself to read her talking points to get those quotes right. She couldn't be bothered to memorize it. Then Blumenthal, quite logically, tries to ask her about a dinner she had with Trump the night before the Comey indictment. She then quibbles over the senator's characterization of just how many people were at the dinner. Take a listen here.
The night before James Comey's indictment, you had dinner with the President of the United States. Pretty intimate group.
Actually, there were a lot of people there that night. That's a great picture.
Was James Comey discussed at that dinner?
I love that picture. That's a great picture. And there were a lot of people there that night.
She says that she loves that picture. That's her main response. What is that saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. That's a quote often misattributed to a Chinese proverb. It actually came from an American advertising executive, Arthur Brisbane, who came up with that. Here's the proof. We'll put up the site for you. And I think that's particularly appropriate here because a picture tells you 1,000 words. It came from an advertising executive, and this is a sell job, right? A.G. Bondi is selling to the American public via Lindsay Halligan Donald Trump's product, which is, I want to show you that James Comey did something wrong. He is part of this corrupt plot to have victimized me, Donald Trump. And so that's really appropriate to let the picture do that talking. And that picture of her at the dinner really says everything. So we'll kind of leave you with that image in mind. We'll keep an eye on what happens with the Comey case and who actually ends up being the star witnesses for the defense. Talk to you soon.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.